I saw an article today that said F Ben Carson. It had the entire word spelled out. This is on GQ.com, a supposedly professional website where people actually write columns that have some type of validity, I guess. It said FUCK Ben Carson. And to back up a little bit, there's been some outrage over what Ben Carson has said about the Oregon shooting. He said that he would rush the shooter. If you're in a classroom situation or something like that, and you have an active shooter, there's a lot of people around you, he wants to kill you and everyone else, rush him to make sure that not all of you die. He was even saying that he might sacrifice himself. He may get shot, but he can't shoot all of us. So rather than, 20 people getting shot, 15 people, 10 people getting killed, maybe just 1 or 2 people get killed, you lessen the tragedy. And you send a message to the shooters that you're not going to just sit there and acquiesce to just being shot and killed, right? This is something that makes sense. This is common sense. If you have strength in numbers, you use that to your advantage and don't just be a victim to the guy with a gun. Don't be scared, and don't be scared to be a hero, because every person in the United States has the ability to be a hero. They have the ability to protect themselves and to protect others. They have the ability to rise to a situation rather than to cower and acquiesce to this evil that is upon them at that moment. I thought it made perfect sense because, hey, you have the guys that rushed the shooter on the French train, the 3 Americans, the 2 military members and the 1 student who received medals of honor from the White House in late August of this year in 2015. Everyone praised them as heroes. They did the right thing. They rushed the shooter. They saved lives. Now all of a sudden, when Ben Carson says to do the same thing, oh, he's being insensitive. He's victim blaming. He's a moron. He's an idiot. He's a right-wing nut job. I don't understand. He said the exact same thing, that they got praised and were given medals of honor by Barack Hussein Obama in the White House just maybe about 5 weeks ago at the end of August. And here we are at the beginning of October, and Ben Carson is getting nailed to the cross for saying, do the exact same thing that they did. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. But then when I think about the liberal media, maybe they're just trying to attack Ben Carson on anything they can. It doesn't even matter if it contradicts what they just praised weeks ago. Just 5 weeks ago, they were praising people for doing the exact same thing that Ben Carson said to do. And you even have people on the right who were condemning them. I seen the young lady, Crystal Wright, the GOP black chick. She was condemning him. I don't understand. Maybe you have people that are afraid that he'll actually win and he'll become the next president, or he'll be the vice president, or he'll be somehow in a position of power, right? Maybe you have certain people on the right that don't want him to come in there because he's not a puppet. He's not PC. He's not a coward. Maybe they want somebody like Jeb, Marco Rubio, because they're puppets. They'll do what they are told. They're not going to be for the people. They're going to be for themselves. They're going to be for their sponsors, for their handlers, for the money men. Donald Trump, Ben Carson, Carly Fiorina, they represent the opposite. So they have to be eliminated by the left because that's what their job is anyway, to eliminate the right. And also by some people on the right because they are not the puppets that some people on the right want. They're not the establishment GOP that some on the right want, right? So that's my assertion of why the right and the left is attacking Ben Carson. But to the people of the United States, we need to just kind of think about things with a little bit more clarity and a little bit more of an open mind. What he said was correct. Back to this article, the F. Ben Carson. In the article, they talk about all of that I just mentioned, but then they also said something else that Ben Carson said when questioned about the Oregon shooting and his response. Ben Carson said he had a gun pulled on him in the Popeyes restaurant. They put it to his ribs. And then Ben Carson told the guy, hey, you want the guy behind the counter. And then the shooter like, oh yeah, you're right. Now the guy went on to say, hey, what happened to what you were just talking about? You just said that you would attack the guy. Well, look, an active shooter is different from a guy coming into a Popeyes with a gun. Okay? If a guy coming into a Popeyes with a gun and puts a gun in your ribs, I'm assuming that there's nobody really else around you, right, to stop the guy. And he's not trying to kill you. He's just trying to rob you. So he said, hey, you want the guy behind the counter because you want the money. Like, you don't want to shoot him. Notice nobody has said that the guy got shot because he probably didn't get shot. I'm sure he didn't get shot. A robber is not trying to shoot you. 99 times out of 100, a robber is just trying to get money. Okay? If you're a cashier, this is not your restaurant. You probably got maybe about $100 in the register. Give it to him. He goes about his way. Nobody gets hurt. That's common sense. That's logic. But see, to a lot of these liberals, they have never been in that kind of situation. They don't understand these kind of rules. If a guy's trying to rob you, you give up your money, right? If a guy's trying to shoot you and just kill you, you need to defend yourself. Because he said at that point that your life is not worth it. He said that you are going to die. Money doesn't matter. Nothing else matters outside of his plan, which is to murder you, which is to end your life. Okay, so basically what you have is two different situations. One situation is very simple. He's trying to rob you. Hey, go behind the counter and get the money and be on your way. That's what he was saying. He wasn't saying, hey, go shoot him. No. And I'm sure that Ben Carson was probably just by himself and there was nobody really around him. Maybe like one or two other people. But when you're in a mass shooter situation, when you're on a school bus, when you are in a train, when you are on a college campus, high school campus, you probably got at least 20, 30 people around you and one guy with a gun. That's strength in numbers. Common sense says, hey, he's not here to rob us. He's not here to scare us. He's here to kill us. And if we don't act, we're all going to die. Let's, do some self-sacrifice here. Maybe even put our own selves on the line because you'd rather die fighting than to die not trying. And that's why the guys got the Medals of Honor from the White House at the end of August. That's what saved lives on that train. And if more Americans had that mentality, which Ben Carson said that he was trying to put out there to the Americans so we have more of that mentality. If more of us have that mentality, that reduces the amount of people that get killed in these mass shooter situations, and it also reduces the amount of mass shooter situations that happen. Because if these shooters know that Americans are going to fight back, they're not going to just acquiesce. You're going to have a hard time. And also, if we have arms, you won't go to a place where people have guns. If you just want to kill people, you're not going to go to where people are able to defend themselves. They'll fight you and they'll be armed. So I don't understand why anyone could speak against that. Logically, it doesn't make any sense. People get caught up in their political ideology when that's really irrelevant when you're talking about preserving human life. But I expect nothing different from people who think that a baby in the womb is not a baby. It's just a massive cells and they can just kill it, do whatever they want with it, and that's it.